Okay, so let's jump into our fallacies. Now, to get these down, it'll be useful for you to download a sheet that I uploaded onto Canvas. It's a handout that has all of the fallacies that I plan for us to cover in this class. So it's going to cover most of the ones in the book, but not all of them. I still encourage you to read them just for your own education. Yeah, but it'll cover all the ones we need. And I think I want to recommend, I think the book has some good examples. It's pretty clear. I'll be lecturing based off of the book. So make sure you do those readings. Yeah, so there you go. And again, right now, I would go to Canvas and make sure you download it. As I go through these lectures, I'm going to be assuming that you've downloaded it and you'll be following along, and so that you'll have the definitions of the fallacies in front of you. So I won't be writing everything down. Okay, so make sure you've done that. You can pause and go do that. All right, so now I will start. So there's fallacies, and okay. Now the first fallacies, if you downloaded the sheet now, or the handout, you'll notice that the first fallacies are two that you already know. They're denying the antecedent and affirming the consequent. You know that already, so you don't. I'm not going to write them down. You've already been tested on it. Hopefully, it's clear in your mind what denying the antecedent and affirming the consequent are. But they were in the book. They're to be learned, and so yeah. Let's go to the new stuff. Okay, so the first fallacy we're going to learn is the fallacy of deriving an ought from an is. Okay, notice they put the single quotes around it. So it's, use, mention, distinction. They're mentioning the words, they're not using the words. So, well, in a sentence, okay, you're deriving an ought from an is. So what are they talking about there? Well, the book gives a nice example. This is on page 240. And you'll notice in the fallacies handout, I have page references, so you can kind of follow along in the book. If you're not getting something, you can read along as well. But it's basically, the fallacy is where you're deriving a prescriptive conclusion from descriptive premises. Remember the difference between prescriptive claims and descriptive claims, right? Descriptive claims will be about how things are, or how a thing is. And the prescriptive claims are about how things ought to be, should be. They're claims about value. Okay? And the fallacy is saying is you can't derive the ought from an is, or the prescriptive conclusion from the descriptive premises. An example they give in the book is this. Premise one says, the British monarchy has existed for 1,000 years. Therefore, the British monarchy should be retained. So somebody might say, oh, we've had this for thousands of years. And they might use that, like, let's say they're about to trying to take down the monarchy. And he says, but this has been with us for 1,000 years. Okay? That's the argument that they're giving. The British monarchy has existed for 1,000 years, therefore the British monarchy should be retained. And that's a fallacy. The fact that it's been around for 1,000 years is not a good reason to think that you should be keeping it. Okay, you would need an additional premise to make that into good reasoning. Here's an example that's relevant to our times and our place in Richmond. Somebody might give the argument that, well, we've had those statues up for, well, not thousands of years, but we're getting on, hundreds of years, I guess. So therefore, we should keep them up. Okay, and regardless of what you think about the statues, you should be able to see that that's a fallacy. Just because we've had them for hundreds of years doesn't mean that they should be up. Okay, so we'll dig into more of these in the Zoom session, either this one or the next one. But for now, we'll move on to the next fallacy.